Hi guys, it is the AFL Yank back here again doing another AFL tipping video. This is for round 20 of the 2021 AFL season. I got 5 out of 9 tips correct last round, and we're going to do a quick review of these games. Tipped Port to beat Collingwood by a hefty margin, tipped them by 40 points, and not really the most accurate tip, but still 28 points is a strong win from Port. Then I tipped Carlton to beat North. Didn't happen. And North Melbourne, they finally score 100 points for the first time this season. Very good game from the Roos. They definitely have a lot of promise, even with how even with early on this season, they were on track of looking like one of the worst AFL teams of all time. But yeah, Carlton, they have just blown every single opportunity they have, the past couple years. The Blues just cannot find answers to reply in big moments, when they're under pressure. When they're in, contention to potentially make the 8, they just blow that opportunity. Then tipped Brisbane to beat Gold Coast. It's the Q, what was it called? The Q, I think it's called. It's the Queensland Clash. The Q, I believe it's called. But yeah, the Lions defeat Gold Coast. Very solid win from the Lions. They're continuing to get the job done, even with the slow start that the Lions had. Even with the slow start they had, they were still able to get the job done. But yeah. But regardless, the Lions, yeah, they copy their whole flow. The Lions literally copied our flow, pretty much. And then West Coast versus St. Kilda tipped the Eagles. Actually tipped this game to be pretty close, and I was actually pretty accurate. I think I did tip the Eagles to win by 8 points, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, pretty accurate tip, actually. Figured it was going to be close. Then got both the D's and Hawks games wrong. Thought the D's would once again dominate over the Dogs, but it seems like the D's are definitely on a downward slope right now. Just, they've kind of ran out that energy that they had early on this season. And I mean, they almost did frickin' lose to Hawthorn out of all teams, but yeah. And then, Marvel Stadium. The Crum are back. The Adelaide Crows get a big win over Hawthorn, as they had a very good game against the Hawks. I thought Hawthorn would continue to give on that pressure, especially the pressure they had against the D's, but yeah, Crows impressed me. I'm pretty happy that they won, actually. And then, of course, Metricon Stadium, the Swans versus Freo. Started out really slow early on, but man, we just continue to flourish in the second half, and a fantastic effort in the second half by the Swans. We continue to just go off in the second. Now, would I like to see us dominate in the first half? Of course, and I think we could definitely find ways to dominate in the first. Since I do get a little bit pressured over, when we're down when we're at least down by around 15, 20 points. Maybe even closer. But yeah, fantastic win yesterday by the Swans. It's gonna be a big question to wonder how long will Buddy Franklin. Well, it's definitely the big question coming into the next round is Buddy Franklin gonna be playing, because of course he had that huge elbow, I believe, on Nathan Jones last game. I think his name's Nathan Jones. He had that big elbow on him, and it looked pretty deliberate. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, most star players for some reason seem to get very tamer penalties pretty much most of the time. But yeah, if Buddy does get out of this scot free and just gets a fine, I have no problem with it. But yeah, if Buddy is out, I could definitely see Hayden McLean or Logan McDonald in his place. But yeah, I feel like Buddy might play next round. Most likely, he probably might get a fine. It could either be a fine or a 1 week suspension, but with how most star players mostly get scot-free most of the time and just get a fine, I feel like he might just get a fine. But we'll see what happens. Then Geelong versus Richmond. The Cats just absolutely stomped on the Tigers yesterday. Just a miserable game for Richmond. But yeah, I was telling you all. Having no Dustin Martin's definitely going to hurt Richmond a lot. And to be honest, I do not see the Tigers making finals. I'm still standing to my statement. The Tigers are not going to make finals. They're just looking deflated right now. Just having no Dustin Martin is going to hurt their chances for sure. But yeah, regardless, great win by the Cats. They could definitely be a grand finalist this season. They are in the running for the premiership this year. And then finally, I tipped Essendon to beat GWS. Thought it was going to be by a big margin since the Giants just got absolutely clobbered against us. And no Toby Green. I don't think. Well, I'm not sure if Josh Kelly played, but yeah, Kelly looked down. But yeah, Josh Kelly, he looked really badly hurt. Like, it looked like Josh Kelly got really badly injured against us. But yeah, GWS, they get the win over Essendon by 13 points, which honestly gives me a lot of confidence heading into next round, especially with the momentum that we have right now. But yeah, we're going to be playing at Metricon again, and with how Essendon has handled Metricon, I'm really confident about our chances. We've done pretty well as of late. We've won both of our games at Metricon. We've won both games at Metricon this season, and especially with the fact that we're getting Harry Cunningham and Kayla Mills back, and I'm really hoping that they are well energized, and hopefully they're still in form. Hopefully they're well energized after being in quarantine, quarantine and isolation and stuff. But yeah, Kayla Mills and Harry Cunningham set to be coming back against Essendon, which is definitely going to be a huge addition for us, for certain. Sam Reed also, he was solid against Freo. I think the player who did the less attributing was probably Ben Ronk. He really didn't have a footing in this game, to be honest. But yeah, Ben Ronk, he didn't really bring much to the table against Freo in his first game back, in his first game of this season. Well, we'll see what happens. Maybe it definitely takes time for players to gel in really well. I mean, look at Robbie Fox. He was horrible before the bye, and now he's actually playing some really good footy right now. Robbie Fox has been really good as of late. He has attributed incredibly well to the backfield, especially on defense. But yeah. So let's get on to the round 20 tips. Definitely a big round coming up. This is definitely going to be a really interesting round for sure. And yeah. So, AFL tipping still not accurate, as I know the Bombers-Swans game is set to be taking place. The Swans-Bombers game is set to be taking place on Saturday night now. I obviously don't know, but I obviously know about it. Oh my god, I freaking sound like Kelly Underwood. Oh my god. Alright, Essendon versus Sydney. It's set to be taking place on Saturday night. It's going to be the primetime game on Saturday. No doubts. Really confident in the Swans. I feel like we'll get the job done. Essendon might. I feel like Essendon will really, they'll give us some struggling early on since we aren't really the best first half team, but regardless, I am really confident in the Swans. I'll say probably a 24-point win from Sydney. I'll say we win by 24 points. Although this game will be on Saturday night now, since, the AFL has sort of been, like mixing up the schedule and all that. Like rescheduling games because of, the COVID situation going on in Victoria, New South Wales. But yeah. Oh no, wait, we're playing at Marvel, alright. Well, I don't know if it's at Marvel or Metricon, but yeah. I think it is at Marvel. And then North Melbourne versus the Geelong Cats. Relatively confident Geelong here. I will admit it, the Roos did have a very good game against Carlton, but I just think the Cats are a better side than them right now. Just Geelong are the overall better side at this point. And yeah, I have no problem tipping. I have no problem. No issues with the Cats. I'm relatively confident about their chances. And then Gold Coast versus Melbourne. D's coming off the massive loss. But yeah, both the Suns and D's coming off big losses. The D's coming against the loss against the Dogs, and Gold Coast coming off a massive choke against Brisbane. But even with that, relatively confident in the D's. They should get the job done. And yeah. Then St. Kilda versus Carlton. The Saints coming off. Shoot, oh my goodness. But yeah, the Saints, they're coming off that. Alright, let me just check for a second. Oh my goodness. But yeah, the Saints, they're coming off the close loss against West Coast. And the Blues, they're coming off a pretty embarrassing loss against North Melbourne. But yeah, really confident in the Saints here. I think they'll get the job done. This could definitely be a close game, but yeah, to be honest, I'm relatively confident St. Kilda getting the job done. Just the Blues have been in really poor form as of late. They just cannot get good opportunities, it seems. But yeah. And the next, Western Bulldogs versus the Adelaide Crows. Both teams coming off big wins. The Dogs coming off the 20-point win against the D's, and the Crows coming off a big win over Hawthorn. This should be a really interesting game, but even with how well the Crom did last round, I got to go with the Dogs. I mean, the Crows, they'll definitely be in the game at points, but I just think the Dogs are just the stronger side. They're just the better all-around side, to be honest. But yeah. And the next, Hawthorn versus Brisbane, which apparently was supposed to be the Adelaide Oval, I think. Wonder if I think the situation in South Australia has gotten better, I believe, but yeah. I wonder if the situation did get better in South Australia, but I think the lockdowns did end, I believe. But yeah. Yeah, it just seems like Victoria and New South Wales always just have handled this COVID situation really poorly. But I think everything should be all right in 2022. I think hopefully the COVID situation will be figured out by the end of this year, hopefully. Well, I would love to see it figured out soon, but just with how the issues have been going for both states, I'm just not feeling confident about the COVID situation getting any better. Well, I do see it getting better in Victoria, but just the situation in New South Wales has just got really out of hand. But yeah. Hawthorn versus Brisbane. The Lions coming off a huge win, and Hawthorn coming off the big loss against the Crom. Very confident in the Lions here. They should get the job done. They have a very easy schedule heading into the last few rounds of the season. But yeah, the Lions, they got a very easy schedule heading into the final few rounds, and yeah. I'm just confident in the Lions, pretty much, just to sum it up. Also, I will say about the Swans game, fantastic performances by Ollie Florin and especially Isaac Heaney, booting 5 goals. Just a fantastic game by Isaac Heaney. And he also potentially got Mark of the Year as well yesterday. But yeah. And the next, GWS coming off the win against Essendon, and Port Adelaide coming off, and Port coming off the big win against Collingwood. Although, to be honest, the Giants, they got past the Essendon side, who have been a very inconsistent side overall this season. And Port, they're coming off. The Port have been in really good form as of late. I mean, they have been a very sluggish team, but most of the time they usually handle the shit sides really well. But yeah, I'm gonna go Port here. They always defeat the teams like below them pretty much, and but yeah, Port basically handles all the teams below them very well, and I have no issue tipping them. And yeah. Basically, to sum it up. And then Collingwood versus West Coast. The Pies coming off the big loss against Port, and West Coast coming off a very needed win against St. Kilda. I'm gonna go with the Eagles to win this game. They have all the confidence riding in. Just the Pies have just been a very back and forth side this year, and I just don't see them. I just do not see them beating West Coast. Just the Eagles are in really solid form, even when their form has been very inconsistent this season. But yeah. And then finally, off the stadium, Freo versus Richmond. The Dockers coming off the big loss against against us, of course the Swannies, and then Richmond coming off a big, and then Richmond of course coming off the big loss against. And then the Tigers coming off a very unfortunate loss against the Cats, just got absolutely demolished. I'm going to be honest here. I'm actually going to go with an upset here. I feel like Freo could actually get the job done. Even with no Nat Fife and potentially no Michael Walters, I feel like the Dockers might actually get the job done, honestly. I feel confident about Freo getting the job done, to be honest. Like, I think they're the better all-around side right now. It's just the Tigers have just been not in good form as of late. Just the Tigers have just been in really poor form as of late. They're such an inconsistent side. And yeah, to be honest, I'm actually going to go with the upset here. I might actually tip Freo. I actually might tip Freo for this game. I feel like this game might be close, to be honest. I feel like this could definitely be a close one. Now I'm kind of mixed up in my tips. This one's like 50-50, honestly, between Freo and Richmond. But to be honest, I think Richmond might get the job done. I think this will definitely be a potential thriller of a game, just with how poor both sides have been. But I feel like the Tigers might get the slight advantage over Freo. But yeah. So that's my tips. Gonna do a quick marginal prediction for all these games. And yeah. Why does everything still have the Swans Bombers game scheduled for Friday? It's set to be Saturday night, but I think they'll probably update it here. Although I feel like they'll probably, make some tweaks here and there. And, yeah. So I'm going to go by with the prediction I did. Relatively confident about the Swans, I think. I mean, the marginal prediction doesn't even matter. But I'll just copy it anyway. But yeah, relatively confident about the Swans getting the job done against Essendon. I say, gonna say 24-point win for the Swans. Relatively confident about our chances. And, yeah. North Melbourne versus Geelong. Relatively confident in the Cats. I mean, I think the Roos will definitely be in the game here and there, but I think the Cats might just get the job done. I'll say a 19-point win. I feel like North might have some opportunities here and there, but I just think just basically the Cats get the job at the end, since they're basically the better all-around side. Gold Coast versus Melbourne. I'm going to tip the D's to win this game. Just the Suns have been in really poor form as of late. I'll say a 31-point win for the D's. St. Kilda versus Carlton. No problems here. Going to tip the Saints. Say a 16-point win for St. Kilda. And Oh wow, they end up in the 8. Western Bulldogs versus Adelaide. The Crom versus the Dom. Well, the Bull Dom. Yeah, relatively confident in the Dogs here. Should see, I'll say, a 31-point win for the Dogs. Hawthorn versus Brisbane. Gonna go off the Lions to win this game. Should win it by a comfortable margin. I'll say 25 points. And then Port versus GWS. Gonna go with Port to win this game. Should get the job done. Collingwood versus West Coast. Gonna go with the Eagles to win this game, and I think they should win by a very solid margin. I'll say 28 points. I think the Eagles might have locked up their spot for the 8. But yeah, I feel like West Coast, they'll definitely lock in their spot for the 8 from here, I believe. Like, if they just continue to keep up the momentum, I think they pretty much have locked up their spot for the 8. And finally, Freo and Richmond. This should definitely be a really interesting game, but I think the Tigers win this one by 9 points. Oh, and great, the Tigers in the freaking 8. Oh my goodness. But yeah, Dogs first, Cats second, D's third, Port fourth, Lions fifth, Swans sixth, Eagles seventh, and Tigers 8th. Saints 9th, Giants 10th, Bombers 12th, Dockers... Oh my god, Bombers 12th. Bombers 11th, Dockers 12th, Blues 13th, Suns 14th, Crows 15th, Pies 16th, Hawks 17th, and the Roos in 18th. So I hope you enjoyed this tipping video. I'm the AFL Yank signing out. Just a relatively quick sign out. Guarding the Swannies. Swam 2021 Premiers.